night, Tommy.
Evening, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining.
Oh, my pleasure. Hope you've all had a nice Christmas, by the way, and Happy New Year to you all.
Before we start, what is in the cardboard box that you've that we've seen on Facebook? We want to know what's in that box.
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
But I'll tell you something, the response has been unbelievable, and I'm doing a video on what it is tomorrow, so on my page, so you'll have to quit, but I'm not telling you. Some of you are not far off, but a lot of you are miles off. But some of the comments are unbelievable. The best one, I think, were it will Leeds United defender as we need them. But
yeah, that is. I do find it really amusing when
put it this way: if it's a Leeds United player, it won't be Paul Pogba getting out of box like on that advert. That's a certainty. Not in my house.
He needs to get off United bench for Right. So obviously, I've got some questions. I'm going to read them from the other side. Like I say, feel free, guys, to add questions below. And I've got one what's actually not on here, which I'm going to start with. Just after me and Tommy have been talking. And it's going to be, how do you think YouTube has changed the way that fishing's delivered to anglers in general?
Massive. It's incredible. It's actually changed anglers' thoughts about how they can learn, and not just in fishing, in other things as well. You know, in anything in life. If you want something now, what I do, Mr. Google, I go on Mr. Google, and then I'll go on YouTube, and you can watch different people, different thing, and different aspect. Absolutely changed everybody's life. I know a few years ago I was because I'm a certain age, I didn't want to really get into it, get into YouTube, Google, get into social media and everything like that. And I realised one day I was down at Whiteacres and I was stopping next caravan to Tom Scully and Matt, Ginger Matt, and Godfrey, and I learnt so much that week off them too. It were actually quite incredible how much I learnt, and I remember sat there thinking, I'm gonna have to do something about this, because they were inactive with everybody on social media, talking to them. They were getting information about different places. And I remember on the following Monday I went to a Preston trade show, and I went up to Frankie and Lee Kerry, and I went, you need to put me and get me sorted out. And everybody looked round at me, gone out, and I changed because I knew I had to. I knew if I didn't, I would be left behind, because I could see from Tom and Matt and how they were doing on. They were going forward and I were going backwards. And so if you need some information, you just go on YouTube or Mr. Google, and not just in fishing, in anything. If I want anything now, I just go Mr. Google, and they usually tell me. It's massive, but you can watch anglers all over the world fish, any types of fishing, whatever you want to do. It's fantastic, and like I said, not just in fishing, but I think it helps everybody learn. You can learn about everything. You can watch the anglers that you want to watch and learn from them. It's a fantastic tool, something that I use a lot, and I'm sure that lots of anglers out there use it. It's a great tool, it really is.
A big one that was asked on the group, and I know you've been on the group and you've seen the comments, is around Fuka, and just how you feeling fishing with Fuka in general. Do you feel that it's giving you an advantage in what you're doing? And I'm assuming there's more things to come with the brand. Yeah. Just in general, how are you feeling fishing with Fuka? Right.
Well, first of all, just a couple of things. Lots of people think I joined Fuka for wrong reasons, and I joined Fuka. One reason was for Dave Preston, who I used to work with at Preston Innovations, and he sold the company, so he knew how I worked, I know how he worked, and he brought this new bait out. And what he was interested in is making a bait that is easy to use, fish-like and easy to use. It's, you know, I've always said from day one, it's perhaps not the number one match bait that you want to use, but it's probably the best pleasure bait. And it's to help the angler, one, catch fish, but be able to fish, not sit there thinking, is my bait on? Because you can feed it, you can hook it like a maggot. And that was the thing that he sold it to me. But that was only one thing, that was only part of it. So first of all, we had a bait that you can actually is easy to use, that Joe Public or somebody who's just took fishing up or hasn't been fishing long, they can fish a pellet and it's easy for them to use, but the fish like. One of the biggest problems we have with Fuka is that a lot of commercial fisheries, you've got to use fishery on pellet, so you can't feed them, and that's the biggest problem that we have with them. You know, obviously it's like any pellets, it's better if you feed with it. So we've got this fantastic bait that is easy to use, and everything that David does, he makes it that you can hook it, you can band it, you can spike it. It's easy. You haven't got to worry about bands breaking, or I can't get it on my band, or I can't spike it. And that was the beauty that he sold it to me. So what he wanted me to do was promote it. And when we go on all these videos and everything like that, we don't cheat, we don't use different baits, we use Fuka. That's all that we use. So we can catch plenty of fish on the bait. But the other reason why I joined was because him and Catherine and Tom Scully, who's come on board, they wanted to do videos and teachings to teach people not just about how to use Fuka, but about how to fish. And if you look at our videos, they're all educational. That was really important to them, that they had the educational side of it in touch with the bait, and they sold it to me on that thing. And to be honest with you, I love the stuff. I use it. I don't use it enough. I don't use it enough in matches because I can't feed it, and that's the biggest problem. Is that when we go to these match venues, we have to use fishery pellets. We can't feed the Fuka, and that's the biggest problem. I use it on hook quite a lot, but it's better when you can fish with it, when you can throw it in and fish with it on hook.
Another guy's mentioned around Fuka is just how do you feel the best way to store it is once you've opened them so they don't dry out, the feed pellets?
Well, one way is to wrap it back up or put it in a container that is sealed. That's the best way. If you just leave it, it'll dry out like most things would dry out. So just get the bag. What I normally do, I get the bag, I tip in what I want, and I just fold the bag back up and put it in a bait tub folded over. That's the easiest way. But another way is just to put it into a sealed bait tub, and it'll keep dry.
Yeah, and the last one around that was obviously, as you know, we discussed this at the open day around Flavours. He's happy to see you, isn't he? About flavourings. Now, personally, I know I don't use too many additive flavours, and I know you were saying you were the same. If people wanted to flavour the feed pellets, would that be something that they would take on board?
Yeah, you can. Obviously, you can feed them and soak. But I'm a believer in flavours, right? And this is like Fuka has got its own unique flavour, and that's quite important, I think, because I'm a big flavour. Finding the flavours and finding what flavours that you want to use is the different matter, and the only way you can do that is trial and error. Now, strangely enough, when I put flavours on things in the summer, I don't use a lot. I don't know why in summer, but in the winter I tend to use more flavours and more dips because I'm fishing for an odd fish, not lots of fish, and I think that makes a difference. So I'm more tempted to use a flavour of some kind in the winter more than I am in the summer. But there's only one way of doing it, and it's like colours. Colours are really important, but every lake's different. You can't say that flavour and that colour, because every lake is different. I mean, I go to Lindholm Lakes, you go to Lindholm Lakes, and yellow's good on some and pink's good on another, and they're the same fish. They come from the same place, the same batch. But so whether it's something to do with the water texture, the water, I don't know. But you can only learn that by trial and error. So like like at one time, you go on Loco and it's yellow. They just love yellow. But you go on another one and it's different, and it's just what it is. It's just what it is. But the only way you can do it is to try it, and it's trial and error. And one of the things, I mean, I spend most of my life trying to find the bait that the fish want, because when you find it, the pulp rodding float goes under 100 miles an hour. When you find out that secret formula that works. But just a couple of tips for winter that I can give you is if you're going somewhere. The best colours are usually white and yellow, corn and bread, basically. So that gives you a sense. So all I'm saying to you is if you go somewhere, try white, try yellow. I don't know what it is, but they seem to work better in the winter. In the summer they're not always best, and sometimes you want a pinky one. But in the winter, because it's clearer and colder, you only get away with white and yellow, and they seem to be the best baits wherever it is.
So the next one, and this was quite a contested one, and I had a few people on the YouTube they put it in different formats. I put it in my own format, and I've give you 2 for this because I know it's a really difficult question to narrow down. Your top 2 most memorable fishing memories.
Oh crikey! My top 2 is pretty easy, to be honest. Well, not that easy, but I'm going to put it into 2 categories. One is when we won world champs first time in 1985. That was the most memorable one. I mean, that will remain that forever. It was just really special because it was the first one, and it were in Italy. 2014 was special when we won FIDE World Championships. For first time. I mean, that were in Ireland. That was special, and my daughter winning in Hungary at World Championships, and they're probably my 3 favourites. Watching one of your kids be a world champion is like, because when you do it, I know it's people sit at home and say, but it's weird when you are part of it yourself. It's weird because you expect it to happen, but it's like when I watch my daughter fish, I'm as nervous as out. When I'm fishing, I don't get nervous. And it's strange, but when you watch your kids and you even my son, when I watch him in weightlifting, I'm as nervous as out. It's really strange when you watch him play football or whatever. You're more uptight than you are when you do it yourself. Yeah. But I think being part of them 2 teams in 1985, 2014 were the special moments, and then watching one of your kids world champs is like takes your breath away, really.
Yeah. This one's a really good one, actually. Mark sent this one for. At first, he got his. I'm going to put this in because I know he'll like it. Mark Crawshaw fishes with us on the Winter Leagues, and he got in his club got the best angler of the year. So he had a photo with you with a book, and he said,
yeah.
How did you feel stood next to the angler of the year?
I'll be honest with you, it's brilliant because you got to remember that I was brought up through clubs. I used to go with South Kirby Pit Club, Mill Lane, British Working Men's Club in South Kirby, where I come from, and being top dog in that club was everything. So I know exactly how you feel because I won a couple, and I know I've been the club champion of probably, 10, 12 matches over the year is really special. And when I used to do presentations years ago, I used to say when I used to do the presentations that's the most important one because that's special to that person because he's top dog. So I know how you felt. I've been there myself, and
he's not going to beat us on the Winter League though.
I get some money on it, but no, that is the special trophy. You can win the matches throughout the year, but being top dog overall the year is everything.
So his question was, how do you stay hungry for the sport?
Do you know that's actually a good question. I think everybody's different when it comes to that. I don't actually know. I really ain't got an answer. All I know is I want to win next match I go on, and when that stops, I'll pack in. And the day that, and I know the day that'll stop, that'll be the day they put me in a box 6 foot down. Because all I want to do is fish and fish to win. I've still got goals that I want to do, but I don't know because that's obviously something in me. Not everybody's the same. Some people like I spoke to Stevie Gardner, a really good friend of mine, and we've had some incredible moments together. Me and Stevie fishing for England, and he's just what a fisherman he is, and I want to. Don't you fancy fishing vets World Championships? Which is is like for me. I want to win it. And he went, no, I'm not interested. I'm happy now doing my fishing and doing what he wants to do. And so we're all different. That's my point. We're all different. But me, I can't wait. I hope I get picked for Hungary in June. In Vets World Championships, and then later on there's a Vets FIDE World Championships in Spain in October. I'm hoping we send a team and I can get picked for that as well. And so that's my 2 goals for next year, and that's all I think about. Yeah. That's all I think. All I'm think about are them 2 matches, and I might not get picked. you know. But I'm just hoping. But I don't know. I don't know. It can only be that there's something inside me that just keeps saying, you know, driving me on. I don't know. I really don't.
So the next one, there are quite a lot of people that mentioned Ireland.
Yeah.
So I've put it into a question. Do you still make trips to Ireland?
Well, I mean, we've had a horrible year with COVID, and you know, it's hard. But I went back in 2000, and I think it was 12 or 13, and I hadn't been for 20 odd years. I've been to Southern Ireland, I hadn't been to Northern Ireland. I went back, and I fell in love with it again. To be honest with you, I really did. But I'm not going back to Enniskillen anymore. I just don't think they want us there. I don't like some of the things of how they treated the fishermen. I think they're more interested in other sports now. They forgot about when all the fishermen used to go when there were nobody else went in the troubled times. So I don't think I'm going back to Enniskillen because I feel like they don't want us. I might go on ban because next winter I might go on the ban, and I certainly will go back to Southern Ireland. I'll go down to Inniscarra at Cork, and I'll probably go up to Cavan on their competitions because it's just a special place. You know, I've got three places I love, and South Africa I love, Italy's my favourite, and Ireland, and they're my three countries that I love going to. The people are outstanding, just want you there, and the fishing's not the same as it used to be. But as long as you can get your head around that, I don't think it really matters. But listen, if they're asking this question on the thoughts of do I want to go to Ireland, let me tell you this: the crack's still the same, the Guinness is still the same, and the food is still the same. So and the people in the guest houses are still the same. It's a great place. Just go. If you're thinking about it, it's obviously just go, because it's no good thinking about it. Just when we get COVID over and you're allowed to go and we're allowed to go out, just go. And if you don't like it, then you don't go again. But I promise you, I think you'll fall in love with it again, because I did. I just fell in love with it again. But I would go, you know, like I said, I shall go to Inniscarra, but I'll go where the competitions are. So I'll probably go round, I'll probably go back to Cavan, round that area, and fish their competitions. And I shall certainly go down to Inniscarra and stop at my friend's house down there.
So the next one is it's quite it sort of tailors into a couple of questions we've already asked. But are there any more competitions you would like to win? I'm assuming they mean big ones.
Yeah. No, well, everyone. I want to win everyone. I don't. End of the day, I just enjoy winning competitions. But yes, of course there is. But the two I've just spoke about, with the vets. Now, let me just tell you something about vets. There's a Masters and a vets. Last year I fished in the Masters, and I'm 66 now, so I can move up into the vets. But I can still fish the Masters if I get picked until I fish in the vets. So there's like two age groups. But when I fished this year in Slovenia, let me just tell you that it doesn't matter what level you fish for your country, whether it be juniors, ladies, seniors, vets, feeder, float, it don't matter, it's still the same. It's the same feeling. I got as much buzz, as much excitement when I fished that Masters other week as I did when I fished for England when there were only one team. I got as much excitement as that. And when you get picked for England, it's quite unique in England because we don't fish to international rules. So when you go abroad, it's the only time you fish to international rules, and that's why you can't select lots of anglers, because they don't understand that side of it. Whereas when you go abroad, every match is to international rules, so they all understand that side of it. So I got as much buzz going and fishing there as I did when it were years and years ago. It were no different. And like I said to you earlier, the only thing I think about now are them two matches in June and October, and I might not get picked. And trust me, I'll be gutted if I don't. But you still get the same buzz, still get as much excitement. So yes, they're my two things that I'm based on. And anything else after that is secondary and a bonus. So you know, if you qualify, obviously next one's Fisho. I'd love to fish. I'd love to fish Fisho. There's national. I never won a national championships, although I won team medals and our team. You know, when I fished for Barnsley a few times, so that's on Trent again this year. So there'll be now. Crikey, we've got. It's my match calendar now is ridiculous. I'd love to win Feeder Masters. You know, I'd love to win that. I'd love to win Golden Rod. I'd love to. They're the big matches but getting tickets is the hardest problem to try and qualify. And the standard now is quite exceptional. It really is, from people thinking it's because the other thing, of course, because England's unique. When you go abroad, people are fishing float matches and feeder matches. They don't mix. Over here, that's only just started, so it's new to most people. There's not many matches where, I mean, most matches I go when I set poles up, wagglers, feeder stuff. Well, abroad you don't. You either set feeder stuff up or you set float stuff up. It's as simple as that. But now it's just started, and I know lots and lots of anglers who don't even have a pole anymore because they just fish feeder matches all the year, you know, throughout the year. And it's quite. I can see it changing that a little bit. I can see it changing quite a bit towards all that. But no, you know, end of the day, I want to win every match I go in. But my big two are the vets or the masters. Whichever. If I get picked, I've got to get picked first. I mean, that's my next thing. But one I'm really hoping for is the Masters. Sorry, I don't know what it's called, Masters or Vets, but Masters Vets feeder team. It's a new competition, and I'd love to be part of that. To get it set up. I don't, but I want to fish. I don't want to manage it. I want to fish because I've been brought up with it. I understand it a bit better. I probably help everybody in the team and everything like that get for future.
So we were talking around sponsored angling, and obviously that's something where people divulge as minimum as maximum as they want to do. So I'm going to word it quite down the middle and just say...
Just say it as it is to me, that.
Sponsorship, is it all it's cracked up to be?
A lot of people get wrong impression about sponsorships. Don't get me wrong, it's great to be sponsored, but I don't know what people think how much anglers actually get out of it. Most people don't get anything. They might get tattle, they might get free tattle. But I look at it two ways. I've been sponsored for a long time now, and for different reasons. Yes, I get my tattle, and I see people on Facebook having a go at the sponsored anglers, but they're there to promote their products, and that's what they're trying to. They're not trying to. Usually, they're not trying to sell it. They're trying to promote it as a product and what it is, and show you what it's about. But I have lots of conversations privately with anglers, and it's about sponsorship. But when you are sponsored, that sponsor wants you to promote your products. That's the idea. It works both ways. It's not all give from the sponsor, which most people think it is. It works both ways. It's a 50-50 combination. The angler has to give back and promote the company name, the company brand, and its tattle. And not a lot of people, they just want to take. And nowadays you can't do that. If you want to be a sponsored anglers, nowadays, and this is one of the reasons why when Tom and Matt introduced me more to social media, I realised how important it was. I went away and changed my total, because I knew if I wasn't on social media talking to anglers and things like that I wasn't going to have a job. Because all my life I've treated it as a job, and I've had, I think, 4 companies. That's all I've had in 30 odd years. I've been with 4 companies. And I've always promoted their products because that's what you're paid to do. You're not telling people you go and buy it. What you're saying is this is what we do, and and you're just showing the people. It's up to the anglers to show the companies this is the product that we do, and then it's up to the angler to find out if he likes it or not. But if you're not aware of it, it's up to me as a consultant to make anglers aware of it more than anything. So I haven't got a tattle sponsor. So what I've tried to do at the moment is try to be fair to everybody. and showed anglers what I use. And that, I bought nearly all my fishing equipment, which people say, well, I buy me, and that's fair enough, and I get that, but I bought what I want. And as an angler, that's what I would want. I'd buy what I want to use that suits my style of fishing. So what I did when all my stuff went back to Mavor, I'd got nothing. So I went out and it actually learned me a lot about going in the shops and looking at everything on the wall. And I learnt loads, to be honest. I learnt more about tackle since then than I did when I was with a company, believe it or not. And I actually get the stuff that I want now. And I would personally prefer that unless I'm tied up with a company. I hope I'm not trying to, like, if I was tied up with a company, it's my job as a consultant to promote that brand, first of all, the name of the company, and then the tackle that's in that brand. To show, my job is to promote it to the angler, not sell it to him, show him, promote it. But if I wasn't tied up with a company, like at Mo, I'm not tied up with a tackle company, then I'd get what I wanted, and I'd be more happier than that, getting what I want. Because most anglers who are sponsored actually pay for the stuff. They get it at a discount rate, and I don't quite get that, because I think, well, if I were paying for it, I'd want what I want, not what the company's doing. I think it's a little bit different. But hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with being sponsored, but it's two ways. You have to give it back, you have to promote it, you have to sell it, you have to show it, you have to do things that you perhaps don't want to do, because it's your job to promote that product for that company. It's your job to do that. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you're not going to get sponsored, not nowadays, certainly.
So again, something that we discussed, it sort of ties in with other things that we've talked about. And we were just saying, people will say what I want to say about blowing smoke up people's backsides. But at the end of the day, you approached me fair and square in the shop when we were on our Angling For You day and said, look, if you want me to do something to, help give back. And what I've noticed when I talk to other anglers is that, that's just your persona. And how do you think that just being genuine and real, which is our sort of Angling For You ethos with people, how do you think that affects sort of the way you coach and the way people in the angling world react to you as a person?
Right, well, one of the things, I was very lucky. I knew a great man called Ivan Marks, and he was the best with people ever. He just had this gift that he could talk to people. And I can remember him pulling me to one side once, and he went, young, because we've become really good friends. And well, he was my angling hero at the end of the day. Like, I mean, anybody that's read my book, there's a chapter about Ivan in there, and he says, if you want to get on, and this was before social media and everything like that, you have to talk to everybody. You can't just be your own person talking to your own group of people. You have to talk, and I've never forgot that. And because I come from a mining village and been brought up with miners and got plenty of backhanders off them if I did it wrong and things like that, I don't want to forget where I come from. So I always try and have time for everybody. I answer everybody's questions on if they send me a private message, I always answer everything. I always try and talk to everybody because Ivan basically told me that's the way to do it, and two, he was right, and two, I don't want to forget where I come from. Yeah, I might have been a world champion, but I still come from South Kirby. In my book I put I'm still a Kirby lad. And I'll never forget that. I come from a mining community. Everybody talked to everybody. Everybody got on. And at the end of the day, like I just find that it's easier and more natural than saying to somebody, you're not good enough for me, sort of thing. I can't stand that. End of the day, I'm a human being like everybody else is. I'm no different. And I can remember I was asked a question by somebody in Italy once. There were three of us having a meal. And he went, and he asked me why I talk to everybody. And I went, well, I'm like this. Maybe I can catch a few fish, but I'm not a great chef. I'm not a joiner. When I want something done in house, I get somebody in to do it. and I look at their skills and I go, wow, I wish I could do that. So what makes me any different than him? I'm not. I'm just a human being like everybody else. We're all the same. And just that different people have different skills. Unfortunately, you know, my skill is I've been able to catch a few fish all my life. So, you know, end of the day, like, you know, I don't want to be stuck up or anything like that. I want to be, and I want to talk to people. Another thing is, you know, I learn lots off other people. I learn lots off other people about fish. When I take people coaching, you won't be surprised how many things I learn off other people about their way and they do things. They might not be able. They've got some, you know, they might have some idea, and I might. But it's amazing how many little things I've picked up off them about fishing. But we're all human beings. We're all different. So, you know, there's no point in being stuck up about it. I love talking to people. You know, I can talk a glass of eye to sleep, as you've probably worked out already. So, you know, I'll talk about fishing all day.
So just on that, because you did touch on it around your book, and we've had quite a few people saying that they really enjoyed it. And is the
Thank you.
volume 2 on the way?
Oh no, no, I don't think so. I'd love to do one. I think back at book I put in there. I'd love to do one on the psychologically, the coaching manual and things like that, but I really haven't got any plans at the moment. I mean, when I wrote my book, it were in lockdown. I'd got 12 weeks sat here, and I sat here, and I just got a piece of paper, and I wrote them, sent them to Alan, who put them into terms that people could understand and read, because apparently I'd wrote it in Yorkshire, but coming from a Lancashire man, what would he know? And so that's how it started. But to be honest with you, as much as I didn't realise how much effort, time and everything goes into it, and I had the time then, and I don't think I'll ever have time again. But I'd love to do one on coaching and the mental side of fishing, or mental side of sport, because you know, I have lots of rules that when I take people coaching, the format and everything like that, and I think it should be put in a book form, like a Bible.
So the next one, and again, you may have touched on it, but we're still going to ask it. Is it a clear member favourite? What is the best match that you've won or fished?
That's easy for me. The best match I've ever fished was when I won World Champs in '89, the second day. That was the best match I've ever fished, and I'll never fish another match as good as that ever. It were in Plovdiv in Bulgaria. I'd won my section on day one, and I drew this section, and it was C section, and there was a bridge, and the first 10 pegs were full of fish, and from peg 11 to 20, I think it was 28 on the first day. The best weight had been a kilo, and that was 1 carp. And then the next 10 pegs, there was about a kilo. It was a really bad part of section. And I drew 20 summits in me, but I can't remember what number it is. It was 20 summits, so really I was out of it. I shouldn't have stood a chance. And I thought, I'm not going to win. But we're still up there with teams, so I had to try and get my team points. And it's one of them occasions I realise that sometimes your name's just on it. And I think it was for me, because I chucked Wagler out at start. It was about 8 foot deep. I cast out, I fired some maggots in, and it went straight under, and I got a vimber. And I went, oh, thank God for that, I've got a fish. Because a lot of people were dry netting in that section, cast out again, got another. And I finished up, I think, about 12 vimber, 12 chub, a couple of carp, and I'd never missed a bite. I never lost a fish. And I weighed 5 kilo 900. And I was second in section, and in them same pegs, 1 kilo was second to me. And I think it were Ronnie McLeod in the end section, in 1 to 10 he beat me for the section. But I come second, and I should never have come second in a million years from that peg. And I don't know why this day, it's just what it is. And when I went back and come second, nobody had won the section twice, so it went down a weight, and that biggest weight, and I beat Franco Cassini and forget his name now, Welsh lad, oh crack, anyway, we all had 3 points, and I beat him on weight, but should never have caught 5 kilo 900. And what was strange about that match was, I'd been other side at Bridge on day one, and I caught 12 chub, like nobody caught any chub but me. I don't know why. And I caught 12 chub that day as well, on the second day. Not a clue why. It was the strangest match, and you know, it was the best match I've ever fished, and I'll never fish a match. You know, I've never fished a match that I give me saying 10 out of 10, and that was closest I'll ever be. It was probably 9.999 because I didn't win my section.
Yeah.
I come second, but that was the best match I've ever fished, certainly.
So along the side of the matches, before we go on to a bit more different questions, is what's your best commercial match weight?
My best, £350 from Lindholm in Benny's, and I think it was the day I realised I was getting old, and it was 2 years ago, and I drew Benny's, and I think I drew about 12 or something like that, and I caught 350 something pound shallow. I was wrecked, and I couldn't lift my arms up. I think I had 200 and something F1, I can't remember exactly. And I weighed 350, and I was fourth in my section.
Yeah.
And there were Speedy beat me, and there were young, sorry, I'm useless with names, I'm not very good with names. One of the lads had 400 pound, and then there were another bigger 300. Speedy and forget his name, had 400, there were a bigger three than mine. And I'm like, how did they catch that? How did they catch like £75 more than me? And it was like weird. And I come away thinking, I think I'm getting too old for all this. It's just like I couldn't lift my arms up. Day after, I was fishing, you know, on adrenaline. I think honestly, when I was aching that much, I couldn't lift my arms up day after, and it was 350 odd pound.
And a proper go as well, don't they? Them F1s in there.
Well, you don't get. They didn't get much chance, but I hate to think how quick these other lads were getting them. It was stupid. It was like 400 odd pound. I got beat with 70 odd pound, and I don't know. I didn't have a spare minute, and it's like, wow, unbelievable. Yeah, so yeah, fourth in my section.
So this question's about gear. What types of elastic do you prefer to use for different times of year?
Good question. Look. When I use zip elastic, you know, the new fish elastic. I use that because it's the hybrid type. It's nice. It's a nice mixture between the two. But look, there's lots of elastics. They nearly all come from the same factory. There's not a lot of difference, in all fairness. Find the one that you like, and they're into a lot of difference. In all fairness. You know, there's like 2 or 3 types. There's a solid type. The only thing I will say, if I went on canal, I'd use probably a 3 and a 4 solid elastic more than the hollow. But when I'm on a commercial, I like hollow elastic. You can use a big elastic, which is a bit softer, and you can get away with it a bit better. I'm not a fan of hard elastic on commercial fishing. I like the hollow. It's just got a little bit more give. But I mean, I use zip elastic from New Fish. It's brilliant. I ain't got a problem. It's cheap. It's not expensive. But most of it comes from the same factory. There'll be other companies got that elastic. I'm sure, but I just use that.
So I got one come through on here among loads, but it's from Shane. It says, "What's your favourite ground bait mix for commercials and natural venues?" It's quite varied.
Oh, this is impossible to answer just quickly. In the winter, I use a ground bait. In winter I use 2 ground baits. I use the black F1 from Sono. That's the best all round. And this winter I've been using I don't know what I should say this, from Revolution Bait. I've got him to mix me a black one up. And I caught some, and I'll tell you something, it's a cracker, it really is, and I must admit I do like it. So in the winter I use a lot of F1 Dark for skimmers more than anything, and I've started using this Revolution, which I must admit I'm quite impressed with. I'm going to work on that one a bit more. But in the summer, I use a lot of. I use quite a few sono baits on commercial fishing. I like the sono baits, and because a lot of them are developed, or help develop I should say, so I know what's in them, I know what they are, you know, like the tigerfish one, I like tigerfish, I like Super Crush Expander, I love Super Crush Expander, and so I know what's in them, I know what they're about, so I use them more than anything. For silverfish, I use a couple of ones that Willie Worms do, to be honest with you, in the Win-Win range. They've got a nice range, and I like their hempy mixes. I can't remember, I'm trying to think of the names. The names. Like I said, I'm useless with names, but they've got a couple that I really like, and I use for silverfish fishing. So I have I have quite a few that I use. But if you go on a commercial and you use a Super Crush Expander or the tigerfish, you won't go far wrong. They're good, they're really good go-to baits. I really like them. But the F1 Dark and this one from Revolution Baits, I must admit I've used quite a bit catchfish. But don't get me. One of the things about ground baits is this. I think ground baits are really important, right? Because you want fish to come over them. So if you find one that you like, you just don't, because what happens is, when a ground bait gets popular, like I won a series on Canal this year, and there were only me really using it, and I used the bloodworm ground bait from Sono. I quite like that, and on this place people say, why don't you use the F1 Dark? And it didn't seem to be as good on there as this did. So you've got to find the one that works for you. But one of the reasons why I like them is because I helped develop a lot of them, so I still know, even though I'm not working for them, I still work with them. So I know what's in them, and that's really important. I hope that helps. I'm not confusing you, but
no, they're loving that
right.
reaction.
The thing is about why do I use the ones from Willie Worms and the Win-Win range? Why do I like them? It's quite important. This, I know where they're made, and they're made in Belgium. I know the bloke that makes them, and I used to work at Van der Nijn. Like Van der Nijn have got one or two great mixers for roach. But I particularly like there's two of them. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name. I'll have to find out for you, and you can pass it over.
Yeah. So the next one is, and this is, I think I already know the answer to this, but I might be surprised. What's your favourite fishing discipline? I'm assuming they mean in pole, waggle.
Oh no, I don't have one. No. One of the things I've always, and I know people are going to say I don't believe you. You think it's feeder. Actually, I'm only interested in winning the match. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if I win it on a pole, a whip, feeder, waggler. I don't care. I'm only interested in winning the match. And one of the things I've always done, and is from a kid, is I don't want to be preoccupied with one method. I don't want to be a one method man. I want to be able to do, I might not be best at something, but I want to be able to turn my hand to doing anything. So if I need to change during a match, I'm not frightened of picking a waggler rod up or pole up or feeder and changing. So I've always been an angler that wants to do everything. I might not be master of any, but at least I can do them. And it's a lot of disciplines nowadays. You know, it's a lot of things, and yeah, you might think I fish more matches with feeder, and I perhaps do, in all fairness. But I still, you won't believe how many matches we fish with pole, and especially now I'm back in, because I'm back in Vet's team. I changed my fishing last year. I went back to rivers and still waters to get ready for it, because that's what people don't understand is. I'm looking at the future, and now I'm looking at, if I'm going to be in Vet's team, right, I need to get back up rivers. I need to learn more, get back into more natural fishing, because it were a natural venue or on a river. Next year World Champs, if I'm looking to be selected, is in a rowing course. It's full of carp, so I'll be spending all spring carp fishing, getting ready for that. And then wherever the venue is for the year after, I'll be finding out and I'll be practicing eight months on that type. If it's on a river, I'll be going back on rivers. If it's on a canal, I'll be going up Steyny and New Junction and practicing for them, because that's what I want to do.
So it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because obviously juniors coming in as well, everybody has their own favourite discipline, but rightfully said, I think you just need to have everything in your arsenal nowadays, don't you?
Well, no, I'm not saying that that's what anybody should do. That's what I want to do. You know, I mean, I know there's people just want to go on, they get up the poles and just go on feeder matches now. But hey, if they're happy doing that, that's great. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to do anything. But what's made it better for me is the fact is, because of these world champs have come back up, it's made me change my way of fishing, my way of thinking again. And so what I try to do is look in the future and change my fishing. Because I can do a bit of everything, all I need to do is practice it, because I've been brought up with changing different things. It's only my way. I'm not saying it's right.
So another one a little bit down this kind of avenue. Are there any other areas of fishing that you're interested in that you've never tried?
Oh, that's a good question. No. I must admit, I've been sea fishing once, and I'm going to go again with Mosey. He's going to take me out. I did a bit of fly. I've never been interested in that. Lure fishing, yeah, I think lure fishing I could probably go piking a little bit, but not really. But probably sea fishing, you could get me. I could probably, you know, I'm looking forward to a couple of days with Mosey going sea fishing. But no, not really. I've not really been bothered, in all fairness. But I respect everybody else that do, you know, because one of the things I'm a massive believer in, and why I think fishing's so good. One of the reasons why fishing is so good is because you've got lots of different avenues. You've got sea anglers, you've got game anglers, salmon anglers, match fishermen, specimen hunters, lads. You know, you've got all these avenues, and you find out which one you like, and you can go down that way. And that's one of the things I love about fishing, is that there's lots of different ways that you can go down and find out what you're comfortable and what you'll enjoy best. Even within the category of them, like specimen hunter, you can go barbel fishing, pike fishing, you can go, you know, carp fishing, barbel, and whatever species you want to go for. So you've got lots of different things that you can do as a fisherman, and I think that's one of the great things about our sport, is there's lots of different things that you can do. But the good thing is, we're all fishermen. You know, because I'm a match angler, I don't get uptight about anybody else. I think that it's great that there's other disciplines and other sports, and as long as they do it, we're just still fishermen, and that's all that matters. We're all fishermen.
A contested one, especially online, was how, with everything with COVID and everything that's been going on, what's your opinion on how well fishing's sort of grown, and how it affects with the mental health and supporting the mental health part?
Right. Well, first of all, COVID's brought more people into fishing because we were allowed to go fishing. So, as much as it's been horrible, and we've all lost friends and things like that, from a fishing point, there's more people coming to fishing. I wish we hadn't lost as friends and not got as many people in fishing. If you understand that, because, you know, obviously it's for wrong reasons, but it's brought lots of people, one, who didn't go fishing, and people who used to go fishing, went out to fishing for reasons, family or whatever, have come back into it because they could go. So that's had a nice positive effect. Come here, come on. So that side's been good. From the mental health issue, crikey, it's a problem that lots of people have got, and they're going to have, because I did a thing with Guru, with Matt, and I mentioned my troubles a few years ago, and I can't believe the response that people contacted me, send me on bank and different things. And until you're aware of it, you don't realise how big it is. And really, I can only say what I think. there are lots of people out there that have got issues and got problems. Just seek advice. Just talk to people. Just go see them. Pick the phone up. There's plenty of people will talk to you, especially men. We're worst people in the world from not talking. And talking helped me when I had a problem. And if I hadn't talked, I might not have been here now. I don't know. But all I'm saying to you is the best way to handle it is to seek help. There's people you've got. You'll be surprised how many friends and people you've got when you need some help. But for God's sake, get some help, because it's the only way you can sort yourself out. Talking to people sorted me out. So don't be afraid. Just don't think, oh, I don't want to get help. I don't want to get help. I'll sit here on my own and get worse. Don't. That's the worst thing you can do. Is go talk to you, mate. We've all got best mates. Go sit and talk to them. There's people. There's counsellors out there. There's people. There's lots of people out there wanting. There's helplines and everything. Do not be afraid to get help, because trust me, it made a massive difference to me. And crack, it's been horrible, let's be honest, last 12 months, and I know lots of people have had problems, but for God's sake, don't do it. Get help. That's the only thing you need to do. Yeah,
I mean, I totally agree with it, and it's fantastic what the Tackling Minds are doing, and
it's incredible.
A big believer on our group, exactly. We've had people post a lot of stuff, and the response has just been so supportive, and that, it's...
One of the things that helped me was time's a big healer, and it is to a certain extent. I don't know how I'm going to put this, but time is the biggest healer. But you've got to get to that time, and the only way to get to that time is to talk. It's the only way. Get some help. Talk to people. There's plenty of people out there willing to help you.
So the next question, and this is. Well, it might be an easy one, it might be an hard one, depending. If you had to fish one place, where would it be and why?
I'd packing fishing. I couldn't think of any boring. No, I'd packing fishing. But that's only me. I know lots of people that love going to one place, but they're happy with. But me personally, I'd packing fishing. Simply because I like the variation of fishing. I like to go to different places, different venues, different styles, rivers, lakes, canals, and I enjoy that side of it. So for me, it's an easy answer, really. I'd probably packing fishing, to be honest with you.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Right. So I'm just going to pick one off here before I put my last question.
Right.
So I'll use this one from Thomas. Because you're now not sponsored for tackle, which feeder rods do you use?
I have, good question. I have, for my commercial work, I have Free Spirits. I have the CTX, 100 quid, 120 quid rods. Awesome. I use the 10, the 11. I use them. When I'm silverfish fishing, I use the MAP, the parabolics, is it? In the 10, the 11. I love them, and the new tips that they've got are absolutely out of this world. I can't find a 12-foot rod that I like. I've got one at the moment, which is okay. 13-foot rod, I use the DM. At the moment, I've got two. I've got a Free Spirit one, and I've got a Dutch Master 13-2, which is just the perfect rod. So I've got a combination of them, and I've had a look at lots of rods, and I love the but for commercial work, to be honest with you, I use the 10 and the 11 CTX. I don't even have the expensive ones. I prefer the actions and the rod rings of the CTX.
Right, so I've got the big one.
Are you not going to ask me about the pole next, because that's...
Yeah, go on, you might as well say...
Yeah, if we're going to go through tackle...
We might as well go through the pole.
Because there's a reason why I've got this, and it's one of the reasons, and because it's a question I get asked a lot, and I use a Drennan pole, I use the Acolyte, and I got to that because when you get to top at range pole, they're all good. They're all brilliant. You could pick any one up, and they're all good. So it didn't matter which pole I got, it's good. I went, what I did, I went to Wickers Lane, I sat down, I picked them all up, and I looked at them all, and you can pick one up and go fishing with them, and they're all brilliant, and I haven't got a problem with any of them. And the reason why I went to the Acolyte, there were two in end I picked. One with the Garbolino, the UK 1 or UK 2, I'm not quite sure. I like that one, and I like the Drennan. The reason why I liked them two poles was because they were true length. And they were longer than the other poles. And that swung it for me, because when you put extensions in longer poles, it's not always the same. And I picked them two up, and because they were true length, I decided on them. And the only reason I didn't go for the Garbolino, I went for the thing, because they were not. I love both them poles. I went for the thing because this area is a big Drennan area, and I thought if I ever had problems, it'd be easy for me to get sections. It'd be easy for me to get top 4 kits and everything like that. And that's why I went for the Acolyte, because they were true length. So anybody that sees me one, I wonder why that's how I got it, because I went through them all, picked them all up. But I went for them because they were true length, and that's the main reason.
Kelv will love that. We've got a member on the group.
Yeah.
He actually put a good post on the other day where he got, I think he's got 3 or 4 different poles, and he measured everything with the match kit, the power kit, the sections, and the results are really surprising.
Oh, it's amazing! It's amazing. That's why if you know, there's a few places have got. This is why when you buy a pole, if you're going to buy a pole, right, don't just listen to me or listen to other people, right? Go find out for yourself, and the best way is what I did. Sit down, like you can go to, you know, there's 1 or 2 shops, you can go and they've got them all out, just sit there. They've actually got, I mean, like you can go, there's 2 or 3 shops in this area, you can sit down. Wickersley's the perfect example. Sit down, they've got all poles, pick them all up, pick the one up that suits you.
Yeah. Not
your mate or him, what you like best.
Absolutely.
But you know, for me, the only reason I picked them, I'd have been happy having any pole. I really would. They were all brilliant. And the only reason I went for these two, and I finished it with this one, is because it were true length, and it made a difference to me.
Right. So the last question that we've got written down, if you knew what you know now, but could start your career again, would you change anything or do anything?
I'd go golfing. Yeah, I'd take up golf, because I couldn't. That's got to be the best profession, because it's always sunny. You travel the world. Hopefully, I'm about being a top pro, not just a normal goal. You make loads of money. Why wouldn't you want to do that instead of going to all this mud where we're going at the moment? But look, seriously. Yeah, I can't really argue. I've had a decent enough career, and crikey, fishing is the biggest participant sport in the world, and there's no better sat in fresh air fishing. In my case, trying to compete, and no, I wouldn't. I would change things that I've done, but one of my things is. And it might be strange, I'm not afraid of failing to be successful, because I think you have to fail to be successful. I'm not afraid of coming last in a match as long as I've tried to win it. And that's my philosophy. I don't want to catch £3 and look good, just to make face. I don't care if I dry net or come last, as long as I'm trying to win the match. And that's the way I look at it. I'm not afraid of failing, because I think that makes you stronger, tougher. But no, I mean. There were lots of things I would have changed when I was younger. I made a few mistakes in the 90s and cost myself in the England team by not doing the right things. I didn't think so at the time. It's only when you look back you go, did I really do that? Did I, what were I thinking of? And I've spoke to Dick about it now, and this is one of the reasons because of my experience, I can take it and give other people experience. Like when I started the feeder team, I used to say to them, don't let me take the shirt off you. Because it's hard to get back, because I've experienced it, and it's difficult. Yeah, but I've been very lucky. I think personally, from where I come from, if you'd have said, I'm a miner, come from a little pit village called South Kirby, and achieved and done what I've done in game, I think I've done all right, and I'm happy with that. So I can't really grumble. And I hope, I've learned to, other people as well. So, yeah. But yeah, golfing sounds good in all that sun travelling world. Having a t-shirt on all the time sounds good to me.
Well, we've just literally, I think, I don't know if it's by dumb luck, but we've absolutely bang on an hour there.
Really? Wow,
so,
seemed like 5 minutes.
I mean, I just want to say a big thank you. We've got masses and masses of people just saying, you know, thank you for everything that you've done to the sport.
Oh, no, it's been a pleasure.
And the interview in itself, just you know, from our point, and that plays into what you said earlier on about, you know, in regards to fishing, there's obviously a lot bigger people out there, and you've spent the time to, you know, to spend this with me tonight, and obviously, you know, we're really, really appreciative of it, and it, you know, it's just fantastic to give that back to the members.
Oh, no, well, thanks for asking me, and, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, like I said, I'll talk a glass eye to sleep, and I just love talking about fishing. Thanks for, and I hope everybody has a great new year, and if you haven't bought my book,
Get that book bought.
make sure you buy it.
And then nip and get it signed.
And get it, I'll personally sign it for you, and thanks very much for asking me. Have a great new year, and let's just hope we don't have, you know, with this COVID don't go any worse, because it has been really tough on everybody, and it's time we had a break.
Thank you very much, mate.
My pleasure. Thanks everybody. All the best.